special meeting of the Cupertino City Council. This is a meeting to go over a study session regarding our water rates in Cupertino. We would like to have you join us at the very beginning of the meeting for pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. So, thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. And Madam City Clerk, if you would please conduct the roll call.
Councilmember Sharf?
Here.
Councilmember Vaidyanathan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sinks?
Here.
Mayor Paul?
Here. All right, so, and I do see Councilmember Chang coming to the lobby here, so we can we'll just wait a moment, I suppose, for him to enter.
Can I make a comment before we do as a point of order?
Sure, of course, Vice Mayor Sinks.
So I'm a little concerned about this hearing, and I've shared this with staff in advance, and it's based on this. It's that, you know, for 2/3 of the municipal water system here in Cupertino, we have no authority to regulate rates. That's done by the CPUC. The only thing we have authority on is the leased system, and it should be no secret for those of you who follow our agendas that we've met in closed session on this many times. My request this evening is that we do nothing that would potentially compromise the negotiation that the longstanding negotiation that we've been carrying on through those closed sessions and the direction that's been given. And I note, right, talking about this isn't in our work program. This is the second time in several months that we've had study sessions on things that aren't in the work program. And I would favor any further ones be supported by a majority of council. I mean, other cities do it by notes. I don't want to say we can't ever change the study program, but I am concerned and think that going forward we ought to be thoughtful in adding, particularly if, right, we have rules about who can put things on the agenda. It's not that as much as what we do when we say to staff, we need you to prepare a study session, because that can involve a lot of staff time and reprioritizes their workload. So my request is that we not do this again unless something like this again, unless we have a majority of council support to amend the adopted work program of the city.
I agree. You know, I think that's a good idea, especially with regard to the meeting that we had at the end of July for eliminating certain commissions as well as a corporate head tax, which I believe that you brought forward and subsequently recused yourself from considering. And so I do agree that it is a good idea to get these vetted. The genesis of this comes from a set of requests from the public with regard to knowing how our water rates operate in Cupertino. And you know, given the fact that we have a close-ended amount of time, I appreciate our staff coming forward to prepare this information for us. It's useful information, and I agree that we shouldn't be compromising any closed session discussions with regard to, you know, making sure that we can go forward with the business of the city as well. But our Director of Public Works, Tim Borden, is here, as well as our Assistant Director, Roger Lee. So welcome, and I believe that—
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that, and Barry, I'll note for the record that Councilmember Chang is here, and the Director of Public Works as well as the Assistant Director, I believe, have the information to provide for our study session today.
I do. So I have a slide presentation. Let's see if it comes up here. All right, there it is. Well, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of Council. Roger Lee, Assistant Director of Public Works. And so this is a study session discussing the factors affecting water rates in Cupertino. As you know, water is a large and necessary expense to residents of Cupertino.
Can you talk into the microphone?
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, I'll do better. All right, so water is a large and necessary expense for residents of Cupertino. For the city alone, we expend over $1 million annually to serve city buildings, our parks, and our sport fields. The purpose of this presentation is to assist water customers of Cupertino with understanding their water bill, the various factors that affect the cost of water, what water rates are likely to do in the future, an update of the overbilling issue that occurred with San Jose Water Company, and lastly, the status of California Water Service attempted purchase of San Jose Water and San Jose Water purchase of Connecticut Water. And this evening, representatives from both California Water Service and San Jose Water are in attendance. We have Ron Richardson. He's a district manager for California Water Service in Los Altos, and also Kevin McCusker. He's the general manager over community affairs, is from Cal Water Service. And also we have John Tang, vice president of regulatory affairs and government relations, is also available. So to begin this presentation, the next slide shows a map of water service areas in the city. Too far here, go back one. All right, so water customers in Cupertino receive their water from 3 separate water sources. The source of where water comes from is similar among all 3 systems, as they all draw their water from the Santa Clara Valley Water District sources. The Cupertino municipal system, which is the area in purple here, you can see that, is a government-owned utility that has been leased to San Jose Water since 1997. San Jose Water, the area that is in orange here, and California Water Service is the area that is in green up here. All 3 systems are designed and to operate to provide safe and reliable water to their customers. By area, these water systems roughly divide the city into thirds, and you can see on this slide I put in the number of customer connections that are in each respective water provider. The next few slides will show an example of water bills from each of these 3 service areas. All right, so this is a water bill in the city within the San Jose Water system. So this is not the Cupertino municipal system. This is the San Jose Water system. It is a bill for a commercial customer with 1 flat service charge of 100 cubic feet of water consumed. So you'll see that as a CCF. You'll see it in different places on the bill for CCF here. That's 100 cubic feet of water, and that's 748 gallons of water. A residential bill would have 3 separate rate tiers, and these rate tiers are what I show in the box right here, if it were a residential bill. This is just a commercial bill from a city facility in the San Jose Water system. So residents would find their consumption charges over here in this area when they look at their bill, and it would be based on the tiers that I earlier highlighted. And the meter charge would be in this area here. In this example, this is a commercial meter that charges the 262. A regular 5/8 by 3/4 inch residential meter is $25.28. So the other charges that follow is you have the safe drinking water loan here. And I'll go over these surcharges in more detail in other slides. That's to repay repay loans for system improvements. There's also a rate assistance program surcharge. That's to subsidize low-income households for water. And then the remaining here are there are increases in wholesale water costs that have occurred since the last general rate case, which was from 2015 to 2018. So these are things that have occurred since 2015, since the last rates were authorized by the CPUC. Then lastly, you'll see a charge here where that arrow is for the PUC surcharge. That's an administrative charge that the CPUC places on investor-owned utilities. It does not apply to our government-owned utility. And now the next slide is for a water bill that is within our Cupertino municipal system. As you can see, this is very similar to that received by a customer in the San Jose Water system. And this is due to an agreement that the city and the San Jose Water Company have to operate the Cupertino municipal system. And per this agreement, these rates are authorized by the city, and in determining the reasonableness of these rates, the city considers the CPUC-approved rates and the rates of nearby agencies. The service and volume charges that you see on this slide were authorized by the city back in 2016. San Jose Water initially asked for rate increases in 2017 and again in 2018, but subsequently requested that consideration of rate increases be continued to a future date. As a result, rates have remained the same since 2016, other than those pass-through costs, such as those due to the increased cost of wholesale water. And this is for customers of the Cupertino municipal system. So this bill, like the other, shows a commercial customer, and they're paying just one flat charge. Residential customers in the Cupertino municipal system are paying this tier rate now. This goes back to the 2016 rates. And this area here would be what they're paying for their meter in the box. It's $23.98 for a typical residential, for a 5/8 by 3/4 inch residential customer. In this example, it's a commercial customer, and they're paying more because it's a larger meter. And then you can see the other surcharges that also are applying to the Safe Drinking Water loan, for the rate assistance to subsidize households, and also the pass-throughs for the increases in wholesale costs of water. But what you won't see, as was in the other slide, is the PUC surcharge. That's not there because this is a government-owned utility, and it's not regulated by the CPUC. Okay, the next slide shows a water bill for customers of the California water system. This bill too is for a commercial account for the city, and if it were a residential account, you can see here this is the tiers that residential customers in Cal Water service area what they are currently paying. The meter charge is here. Residential customers are paying the $17.97 per month for the 5/8 by 3/4 inch meter. Now, other charges that you see here are for the water rate adjustment mechanism charges, and I'll talk about what that is in detail, or representatives from Cal Water can discuss it in more detail if you'd like. You also see the CPUC fee that applies to Cal Water. And the next slide, things are getting sticky here. That's not good. Lost it all together. That's not good, Tim. Lost my slide control altogether. So this slide shows all the different surcharges that I had mentioned before and just how they're calculated. The one here on the top, this is for San Jose Water Company. This is to subsidize the low-income households. It's a flat $1.45 per month for residential. This is to repay the loan and what the dollar amounts are over here. And these are all the pass-through, the increases in the wholesale costs of water. And so every time the water district increases the cost of wholesale water, this is the amount for each of those increases that have occurred over since 2015. And then we go back to the CPUC. So in total, the surcharges for a typical customer in San Jose Water is $13.06 per month. Now this slide, it's similar to what we saw in the last slide. And this too is the subsidy for low-income households and the amount that is charged. And this is the water revenue adjustment mechanism. And now the purpose of what I know this to be is to allow the Cal Water Service to decouple commodity sales from revenue needs. And so what I believe this means is to be able to make up for revenues that hadn't been previously realized. Okay. All right.
And how are the thresholds for whether you qualify for a residential low-income surcharge or program determined? Are those by some kind of area median income, relative rate, or?
I'm sorry, Darcy. I was distracted here with my slide not working. What was your question, sir?
Sure. So the question was how the thresholds for the low-income programs are determined. Are those determined by the companies, or are those determined by some kind of preset qualification
If you
by
would
the state.
hold that question for these gentlemen,
Sure.
they'd be more familiar with that than I would be, Darcy.
Okay, sounds good. So you're ready to proceed?
I think so. My little mouse is sticky, so
All right, got it.
I always won't pay attention to it. Okay, so this slide is, it just shows a good comparison between rates amongst the systems within Cupertino and with some cities that are around us. So you can see the city of Sunnyvale here, what the charge is, and I have them in least expensive to more, going from top to bottom. And this is for a typical residential customer with this size meter consuming this amount of water. And then you can see the surcharges as well, and what the monthly water bill would be for that meter and for that volume charge. And you can see where Cal Water is here, where the system that is leased to San Jose Water is, and then what customers are paying in the San Jose water system. Just for a good comparison.
Roger, which of these cities own their own systems? Sunnyvale does?
The three listed here own their own systems, yes.
Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, and Mountain View.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, they own and operate their systems.
So what accounts for Sunnyvale's significantly lower rates?
You know, the next slide will show you that, well, they consistently stay lower than the others. You know, one thing I would, they've probably invested in their system well over time, and it's, you know, and I think just the way that they're structured, perhaps their costs are lower, but I don't know why they're necessarily lower than the other cities or the other utilities. So this slide I created just to show that over different quantity volume uses, how the bills will change. And so the inflections that you'll see in these lines is due to the different tiers that I had shown you earlier. So that you had different breakpoints. And you can see generally as you consume more water, as in the case, say, in Mountain View, you can see how the line then gets steeper, and how some of these other utilities, how the lines will intercept themselves. So, you know, if you drew a line here at that 11, which is what I had in the previous graphs, that's where the previous slide had showed how they all compared. Now, as you consume more, you can see that comparison may switch depending on who's providing the water. But the city of Sunnyvale is consistently staying lower below those other lines. So the next few slides will show some of the CPUC rate setting processes. All right, so this slide shows a general rate application for San Jose Water from 2013 to 2021. Now, general rate case applications are made by investor-owned utilities, such as San Jose Water, to the CPUC to propose rates for the next 3 years. So you'll see up here where these are all 3-year time periods. The application includes all costs to operate, maintain, and provide water to customers. These cases are filed about 18 months in advance of the proposed implementation date, and this allows the CPUC and the California Public Advisor's Office, which was formerly the Office of Ratepayer Advocates, for review and for public input. The top table shows what San Jose Water requested in general rate cases, what was recommended by the California Public Advisor's Office. So this is what was requested for San Jose Water. This is what the California Public Advisor's Office recommended. And this is ultimately what the CPUC authorized. Now, just to refer back to another comment I had made, the last city authorized rate increase for the Cupertino municipal customers included this 8.6% in 2016. There have been these rate increases here did not occur in the Cupertino municipal system. Another filing made by investor-owned utilities is referred to as the cost of capital. The purpose of the cost of capital is to set the rate of return for dollars invested into the utility. And the bottom table shows what was requested by both San Jose Water and by California Water Service, and what was recommended by the California Public Advisor's Office, and ultimately authorized by the CPUC. So, Stephen, that was the hearing that you and I went to in San Jose back last November. I think it's worth noting that what was authorized by the CPUC was I believe, it was less than what either utility was currently receiving, if I recall. All right, the next slide shows how increases.
Before you go to the next slide,
Yeah.
Cal PA office used to be formerly ORA, or is that something else?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when they recommended this to the CPUC, when was in 2015, 2016? Do we have the months? Do we know approximately when? Because I know there was something in 2016 January that we had a hearing, or maybe it was 2015, end of 2015. Was the first one recommended prior to that? 2013 to 15, that you have the very first row.
I believe these cost of capital go every 2 years, if they're 3 years as well. And the last one, I thought it was in the fall of last year. Yeah, cost of capital. I believe it was the fall of last year.
The cost of capital determinations were actually delayed for a couple of years.
And if you could please introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. John Tang with San Jose Water Company. So the cost of capital, like the GRC, is supposed to be done triannually, once every 3 years. But the PUC and the regulated utilities agreed to stay out of the cost of capital proceedings for the last couple of years. And so we just took it up again this last year, and that's the decision that was presented.
So the last one that we heard here was 2015 or 2016? I'm just trying to refresh my memory here. Because I do know that we had a 3.5 or 3.1, something like that. Oh, no, it was this one, the one what CPUC authorized, 3.8.
You're talking about the top table?
Yes, the top half.
So the 8.6 was in 2016, the 3.83 was in 2017.
Okay.
And 4.22 was for this current year.
For this current year, thank you.
Right, but again, for the Cupertino municipal system, the last one we authorized was the 8.6 in 2016. The 3.83 and the 4.22 have not been.
But the 3.83 has not been?
Not on the Cupertino municipal system.
Okay. Which was the one that we did and we also did retroactive on?
That was
the 8.6?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Thank you
8.6.
for that clarification.
Yes. Okay. All right, so the next slide shows how increases in the wholesale rate of water from Santa Clara Valley Water District affect the retail rate to customers. Now this example is just with San Jose Water Company, but it'll show you how much wholesale water has increased over the last few years, almost 20% in 2016 and about 10% the last couple of years. And that then trickles down into retail rates to what you see in that far right column.
Does that take into account the variable rate structure for the increase of retail, or is that just based on the lowest rate? Or which rate is that based upon?
Well, it'll go into all the, it becomes, it gets put into this will be put into the next general rate case that San Jose Water Company has filed. And then these are the surcharges that I had on the previous slides that are per, I think it's per CCF.
Okay.
So it goes along all of the tiers.
Okay, but the wholesaler is not selling to the retailer at different variable rates, right? According to, how many. Right?
Yeah, no, I believe the wholesale rate is the wholesale rate.
Okay, so that's flat. So the increase of the water retail water rate, is that just an average of the various rates that they have that they pass on to the consumer, or? Yeah,
I mean, so John could discuss how. Because both San Jose Water and Cal Water will have different costs for operations than each other, and one may be larger than the other or smaller, and so when the wholesale water coming in, it may have a bigger slice of the pie or a little bit smaller depending on what their operational costs are.
No, I'm just wondering how these 8% and 4% rates were calculated. What were they based off of?
Yeah, that'd be, and I think John could probably answer that.
Oh, sure, yeah, coming up.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. John Tang with San Jose Water Company. So every dollar we collect from our customers, roughly 40 cents goes back to the district, is remunerated to the district for wholesale water cost increases. So when they raise their rates 10%, we pass through our rates roughly 4%. That's how the calculations work.
And you're just kind of averaging that out over all the different rate structures or the different tiers and everything to come up with these percentage increase of retail water increase?
I
Well,
think,
let's make it real simple. So
yeah,
like,
no, I think that's right, but it gets a little more nuanced than that, and I think Roger was trying to show you how we break it out by, you know, the different surcharges for the 3 years in the intervening rate case. But I think that's right.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right, the next slide details other items that have come up this year just related to water. And I just have three here. One is the overbilling of customers by San Jose Water Company, the authorization of San Jose Water Company to purchase Connecticut Water, and California Water Service Company's attempted purchase of San Jose Water Company. So I'm going to just go over each of these points. The overbilling issue involves San Jose Water Company customers that were billed CPUC authorized rate changes prior to the effective date of the rate change. An example of this would be similar to this. The CPUC authorizes an increase effective January 1st. And then San Jose Water Company invoices customers in January the new amount for water consumed in January, but also for the past month of December, you know, due in part to their bi-monthly billing process. Due to these issues, San Jose Water Company on June 17th submitted a proposed refund of about $1.8 million, which would have been about $5.70 per residential customer, to the CPUC to reconcile these errors from the time period of January 2014 through December 2016. And it also needs to be noted that this billing error also occurred to customers of the Cupertino municipal system. That same month, the California Public Advisor's Office recommended to the CPUC that the proposal be rejected and a formal hearing be considered. City staff agreed and sent a similar request to the water director of the CPUC in July of 2017. The city sent a second letter in August of 2018 to the administrative law judge presiding over the issue. The CPUC responded to the city's letter by stating that proposal was suspended pending further investigation and coordination with the complaint that was filed by the Water Rate Advocates for Transparency, Equity, and Sustainability, also known as RATES. And just a couple of weeks ago, on September 13th, the CPUC opened an order instituting an investigation into San Jose Water Company's billing practices. This action was due to an informal California Public Advisor's Office investigation that alleges that for at least 30 years, San Jose Water Company failed to prorate its customer bills when a change to service charge went into effect in the middle of a customer billing cycle. Additionally, California Public Advisor Office alleges that San Jose Water Company double billed its customers when it converted from billing its service charges in advance to billing in arrears. The California Public Advisor's Office report recommends that San Jose Water Company implement a credit to its customers of approximately $2 million for the time period of January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2016, as well as another $1.9 million to reflect the 1987 to 2013 time period. Additionally, the California Public Advisor's Office calculated that the total amount of double billing amounts to nearly $5 million in overcharges. So these three sum to $8.9 million. This investigation by the CPUC will provide a forum to consider evidence and argument on these issues from CPUC staff, San Jose Water Company, and other parties to the proceeding. Evidence taken in the proceeding will be the basis for findings, conclusions, and CPUC orders, including whether San Jose Water Company should provide refunds to customers, as well as whether the company should face additional financial penalties, reparation, and other remedies. I think it would be premature at this time for the city to cause San Jose Water Company to credit the customers of the Cupertino municipal water system for their amount of overbilling at this time. Instead, city staff recommends that the issue be monitored to see by how much the CPUC changes or adds to the California Public Advisor Office recommendation to credit the $8.9 million. As it is unknown how long the investigation will take, city staff has created a webpage on the city's website to assist Cupertino water customers in being timely informed of this issue. And this webpage is provided on the last slide of this presentation. So that summarizes how the overbilling issue began and where we are right now. Regarding the issue of San Jose Water purchasing Connecticut water,
Looks like Councilmember Sharp, did you have a question?
No, so if there's penalties assessed, those would not go back to the customer as well, would they? Who would those accrue to?
I'm not sure, and we won't know that until the CPUC makes its decision.
And are they going to include interest on that money as well? You don't know that? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Did you say 8.9 or 3.9?
8.9.
And I was adding the numbers. I thought you had stated 2 million for 2014 to 2016, and 1.9 from 1987 to 2014.
That's 3.9, and then they had they calculated double billing in the amount of nearly 5 million.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what sums up to 8.9.
I see. Thanks.
So that's for all their customers, not just Cupertino customers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do we stand with regard to the city's ability to have any jurisdiction over, you know, this kind of case? Because I hear from, you know, the public that we actually do have some kind of empowerment to consider it and levy a fine, or how do we sit via the CPUC process?
Well, we're closely watching what the CPUC does to their regulated customers, and then we will then make a recommendation as to how that best would apply to the Cupertino municipal customers.
So you're essentially saying that staff's position is that the best thing to do is to wait until the CPUC makes its decision. I guess my question is really, what are our options? You know, do we have the ability to act earlier or act in parallel?
Tim Borden, Director of Public Works. Yes, we absolutely do have the authority to do that. We have determined, you know, in our estimation, that the CPUC process is very robust as far as their level of staffing that looks into these matters, the back and forth between the, you know, what was formerly the Office of Ratepayer Advocates. So we feel that there is a good, robust process to determine the right outcome. So we've chosen to follow that in the past. The lease actually allows us to do something different if the council so chooses, but that hasn't been our course.
I see. And what would you estimate our staffing needs would be if we were to pursue a course of action that would involve more of our own city's resources to run a parallel or preemptive type of process?
Well, I know that within the CPUC process, there's engineers, there's accountants, and there's attorneys. So I don't know how many it would take to do all ours, but those disciplines would be necessary.
But suffice to say, we don't necessarily have all the resources on staff right now to conduct that kind of a process.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. And
if I may, just one more point. I think the other thing is I think there is some importance to watching parity with the other systems within the city, rather than having three very different rate structures. I think having most of the city be on par with each other. I think that's another factor.
Right. And so let me just get these numbers right. So for around 1.2 million, which apparently was what San Jose Water was recommending, you're saying that the average would be about a $5 refund per ratepayer. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 1.8 million. Was
1.8
right.
is what they were proposing.
That's what they proposed, and
Okay.
That was equivalent to about a $5.70 per month. Per residential customer refund.
Per month?
No, I'm sorry, just a one-time
A one-time-
570 credit.
Okay, got it. So even if we were to take kind of the extreme amount, because it sounds like it wouldn't go past, say, $9 million, and this, would be even system-wide, but even if we were to impute that to Cupertino, it would only be about a $25 refund on average. Is that a fair, averaging of the impact?
Yeah, I mean, if 1.8 was 570, then by ratio, 9 million is, maybe that's a four times increase. Yeah, it'd be like about $25.
Okay.
One-time refund. If additional, reparations weren't added to it.
Right.
And the CPC may find something on top of what the California Public Advisor Office is finding too.
Sure. At this point, do you have any reason to think that that might be the case, that there would be additional or significant amounts found on top?
You know, they just started the order of investigation a couple of weeks ago, and so it's too early to know. And that investigation may take a year or more for it to be completed. So, don't know.
All right, thank you.
All right, so on the next point up here is the regarding the issue of San Jose Water purchasing Connecticut Water. In March of 2018, San Jose Water announced a merger of equals with Connecticut Water, which, if completed, would create the third largest water company in the United States. In July of this year, the CPUC issued an order instituting an investigation on this issue as well of San Jose Water Group's merger with Connecticut Water. This order will determine whether the transaction is subject to CPUC review, and if so, whether it is in the public interest. The CPUC is committed to substantially complete this inquiry by the end of this year. San Jose Water has a goal to complete the transaction by the first quarter of 2019. If the merger occurs, we do not anticipate any substantial changes in the operation or rates as a consequence to the merger in either system operated by San Jose Water Company in Cupertino. All right, so then going to the last issue regarding California Water Service attempted acquisition of San Jose Water. Back in April of this year, California Water Service attempted an unsolicited, non-binding acquisition of San Jose Water Company at $65 a share. In May, this offer was rejected by San Jose Water. And then in August, Cal Water Service raised their the price to over $70 per share, and this offer too was rejected by San Jose Water, and California Water Service has withdrawn its proposal and has terminated its tender offer to purchase San Jose Water Company. So that issue is no more. And so this last slide has some helpful links as far as the web page that we're maintaining on our website, and also for the city of Sunnyvale, all the city websites. If you were to go to that, it would take you just right to their rate page, and you could see how I was able to calculate rates. And then the web pages for both Cal Water and San Jose Water. And I also included at the bottom of the slide, if you want to see the original advice letter on overbilling, this is where San Jose Water had proposed the $1.8 million. That would be advice letter number 510. And then if you want the latest things from the CPUC regarding the overbuilding, that's the very last website.
Okay.
So with that, any additional questions?
Thanks, Roger. Any questions from council regarding the remaining? Madam City Clerk, do we have any speaker cards from the public regarding this item?
No, we do not.
Okay, excellent. I do see representatives from both Cal Water and San Jose Water here. If you'd like to speak on the item, please feel free. But if not, seeing as to how we have no public commentary and no further follow-ups, I thank you for putting this together. It was a very informative set of facts and information. A lot of times when you have these types of discussions around the community, it's good to have a common baseline of understanding with regard to what's going on. And I think you did a very good job in laying out exactly how these water rates are determined, and in terms of Cupertino, how they're divvied up geographically and through the various entities. So thanks very much. And we're at about 5:45 right now. I'll adjourn the special meeting, and we do have a regularly scheduled council meeting scheduled for 6:45. So we'll see you in about an hour. Thanks.